Hi, everybody. This is Allison from Alleycat Creations. How are you? Please like, share, and subscribe to my videos, my content, if you haven't done so already. If you get anything from my work, a connect, a dot, an epiphany, a mind explosion, a new book to read, a new author to explore, please consider supporting my work. All the links are at the bottom of the description of this video. AlleyCatCreations211.com is where you can view my art portfolio. You can see all the pyramids, paintings, all the signs. Currently doing dog portraits. Um, Hook latching is going to be on there soon. Business card holders, candles, the whole 9 yards. If you're interested, please email me. Um, if you're looking for something just specific for you, I do that as well. I just started work today back at the school thing. Uh, we'll get there, but it's going to take me a little bit of time. So I just be patient with me. Um, Definitely need coffee right now. Long day. But if you're interested, please email me. That's the best way to get in touch with me. And Alley Cat, I'm all over the place. Go find me. 3D memberships is a really great way to support this channel and to support me. Come October for the 4-year anniversary, I'm probably going to do a 4D membership. And once I get more of the things I want to get tested out on here done, I'm going to open up another tier. And it's not going to be 4, 5, 60. It might be 60. We'll see. Um, yeah, my feet need to be put up. Uh, my coursework and stuff I'm still going through. So I'm figuring it all out. But in the meantime, it's a great way, and you guys get I free entries into my raffles. I have to figure out what the end of the month's raffle is going to be, only because the shipping right now is exponentially high, and I can't financially do much. So I do apologize. My can't pay my bills. And it's scary until I get my first paycheck, and I don't know when that's going to be. So we'll figure it out as we go along. Um, I also do channel member only videos and content. So that is oracle card readings. I do an hour's worth, which is really insightful and helpful for your healing and just bettering your self journey. Yes. So today we're going to read The Voice of Isis, one of my favorite books out of all the Curtis books. This is up there with The Message of Aquaria, and even The Inner Radiance is like getting up there. Like I've read so many of their books, and they're all just so genius and written so long ago, and it's now. It's insane. Absolutely insane. So this chapter is 26, and it's the healing prayer. And I know a lot of us can use these prayers right now, whether you are believing in Yeshua, believing in whatever you want to believe in. If there is prayer in here, pray to whatever your energy is needing, wanting, connected with. Just because a book is more on Christian mysticism or whatever have you, it doesn't necessarily matter. We're all God, we're all source, we're omnipotent, omnipresent, and it doesn't necessarily matter what energy you are projecting your will of intention, as long as it's righteous and it's meant for the good, then it is fine. And that's something I know a lot of people get stuck in that paradigm, and I don't want you to. Just because it sounds good and wants to feel good, do as your heart aligns with. O thou loving and helpful Master Jesus, thou who gavest to thy disciples power to heal the sick, we, recommending thee and realizing thy divine presence within us, ask thee to lay thy hands upon us in healing love. Cleanse us from all our sins, and by the divine power of omnipotent life, drive out the atoms of inharmony and disease and fill our bodies full to overflowing with life and love and purity. Many pupils, when they receive this prayer, either address it to a personal Jesus or refuse to use it at all because they object to praying to a personality. But he ever so godlike. We wish it understood, therefore, that in this prayer we do not pray to the man Jesus, but that we recognize him as the high master who is at the head of the healing hierarchy, ever ready to answer such a call as this prayer sends out. Only such a call can pierce the clouds that hide the earthly from the divine and make a channel through which the divine healing forces can reach you. We also use the name Jesus because of its great potency. The name Jesus having been used for centuries in connection with the thought of personal help and healing power. To utter a name is not only to define a being, but to place it under and condemn, obligate it through the emission of the word to the influence of one or more occult potencies. Things are for every one of us that which it, the word, makes them while naming them. Therefore, do not hold the erroneous idea that you are to worship any personalized deity, be he ever so high, but endeavor to realize that divine presence within you, in you, of the Christ force, which the Bible allegory makes a living factor in the world and which the Master Jesus personifies. Pause for a moment and try to grasp the idea that to realize the presence of the great healer, as in the prayer you say you do, is for the moment, while the realization lasts, to become one with the divine. You then understand that the real self is not a mere personality made up of worn out and dying atoms, but is something divine, one with God. Only holy and all-powerful, one with a good, all good from eternity to eternity. This realization may be but a flash, but in that flash, you have partaken of all that can be imagined of power and strength and glory. With this understanding of the prayer, never repeat it without pausing at the words and realizing the divine presence within you, for it is not something outside yourself, but an inflow of the divine made possible by the opening of your heart and consciousness. If your eyes could be open to see the effect the repetition of this prayer produces on the higher planes, the forces it brings to your aid, you would realize its beauty and its power. When you say, lay thy hands upon us in healing, love, it is a literal adaptation of the words, thou hast made thine angels thy handmaidens, and thy ministers a flaming sword. For the angelic hosts minister to all pure hearts who desire their help. The hands which you ask the great master to lay upon your head are his powers to accomplish, which powers are executed by this host of angels who have the power to carry the divine force to you. When you recite it in harmony, the angels crowd around you like flocks of doves to ward off harmful forces and protect the germ of your physical, mental, and spiritual life. For it is a spiritual battle cry calling to your aid the angelic hosts, whose joy it is to succor those who fight the good fight. The Bible speaks of the angels as always beholding the face of the Christ. That is, their development is such that they can see nothing on the earth plane but the Christ principle or the face of the Christ in each heart. If that face is obscured by clouds of selfishness and impurity, they cannot see you and consequently cannot bring you help. But the instant the cry for help goes up from the heart, they fly to your aid at the command of their leader. Angels have always recognized under various names in all religions. They belong to a different evolution from humanity. Although closely allied and necessarily have different lessons to learn and different work to do, they are complementary to humanity. Strong where humanity is weak, weak where humanity is strong. They stand to humanity as a true wife should stand to her husband. In fact, they may be said to represent the feminine aspect of humanity. They are the ministers and stewards of the mysteries, the hosts of the Lord. They carry out his commands. They are the go-between and messengers and have a might and a power unknown to mortal men. We must never forget the love we owe these ministering ones. Upon the highest plane of spirit life is the one life, which can be nothing but perfection. The repetition of this prayer is like a projectile fired through the earth's atmosphere, creating a passage through which the one life must necessarily flow. As it passes from plane to plane, it manifests upon the soul plane, the plane of creation and of redemption, as spiritual love. Thus does the Son of God, the one life, descend from his Father to redeem the world through love. When this spiritual love reaches the plane of generation, the physical plane, its manifestation in the body is purity. This, the Christ, manifests on the spiritual plane as the one life, on the soul plane as love, on the physical plane as purity. This is the rationale of all healing and thorough recognition and realization of the presence of the spiritual life force and its working out in threefold manner. Produces that harmony which is health to both mind and body. It also harmonizes conditions in your environment. Unkindness or hatred in your heart produce inharmony and sickness by condensing your aura and shutting out this force of life from you. If you send a thought of hatred toward a person, you put up a wall around yourself, which only your own loving thoughts and prayers, such as above, can pierce and break down, and which shuts out the life force from you and permits disease to flourish. Whenever you desire help, physical, mental, or spiritual, either for yourself or others, repeat this prayer, meditating on each word and trying to realize its true meaning on all planes of your being. Realize that there are currents of spiritual force which are potent and bring renewed life and strength to your physical body, as well as peace and content to your mind and happiness and joy to your soul. And in this prayer, you are consciously invoking these forces. As Master Jesus gave to his disciples the power to heal the sick and has never withdrawn that gift, so every true disciple who firmly believes this and faithfully strives to manifest the Christ principle within him has now the power through the laying on hands by the summoning of the angelic hosts to bring this one life into manifestation and thus dissipate ills, promote health and harmony. Because that section was so short, I'm also going to do chapter 27, The Silence. We're getting to the end of the book and it's getting a little sad, but I don't want to leave you guys with a really short video that kind of defeats the purpose. So we're going to read The Silence. Quote, "But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut the door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward then thee openly." End quote. St. Matthew. We have so many inquiries from our pupils for some method by which they can strengthen their wills and hasten their spiritual growth that we desire to give a brief outline of the first stages of this process. We cannot emphasize too strongly the fact that there is but one way to grow, according to the law of growth followed by nature. Growth as the flower grows unconsciously, but eagerly anxious to open its soul to the air. So must you press forward to open your soul to the eternal. But it must be, sorry, I am like, so must you press forward to open your soul to the eternal. But it must be the eternal that draws forth your strength and beauty, not desire for growth. But in the one case you develop in the luxuriance of purity, in the other you harden by forcible passion for personal stature. In this one paragraph is contained the great secret of all growth, and the student must grasp its significance and master it. Indeed, until the essence of the truth underlying the above direction has been mastered and incorporated into the consciousness, to attempt any practice calculated to unfold inner faculties is fraught with graven dangers. We begin this chapter, therefore, with the injunction to all our pupils to take the ideas contained in the above quotation and meditate upon them until they are fully understood. Understood not as words merely, but as vital life experiences, they attempt further advance. The student shall pause here and clearly distinguish between concentration, meditation, prayer, entering the silence. Concentration is focusing the attention upon a chosen object or idea. It is the first step toward accomplishing any given end, either in the physical, mental, or higher worlds. Meditation is turning over in the mind a thought or idea that you may see it from every standpoint and grasp all its phases and relations. It is an active mental process which occupies the undercurrents of your mind, even while it may be overseeing more superficial affairs. The proof that we can meditate while engaged in daily affairs is found in the fact that if we have some great joy or sorrow, it will remain in the background of our consciousness no matter what we do to distract our attention from it. Apply the same principle to your spiritual life and make the attainment of that life your main thought and aim. Prayer is an aspiration of the soul toward the divine. It may also be a request not for creature comforts or physical things. Answers to such prayers are but the result of mental magic. But for spiritual food, love, light, courage, etc., in fact, prayer creates a magnetic line of force which unites you with a supply. Entering the silence is an ecstatic state in which the human consciousness is transcended, and while it lasts, all senses of the personality is lost. While we teach that life itself brings to the earnest seeker all the discipline necessary to strengthen his will, and that the ruling of his life brings the most rapid spiritual growth, still it is well to have a definite time set apart each day for concentration upon the end for which he is striving. To meditate upon the above quotation, let the pupil set apart a certain time each day, preferably in early morning, rising 10 or 15 minutes earlier if necessary, and sit in a quiet spot in the same chair if possible, and repeat the foregoing passage with a prayer for light and understanding, and meditate upon it. Try to picture mentally the growth of a flower. Follow every step of its unfoldment. First, a tiny seed buried in the dark earth, then the force within the seed that makes it by and by burst through the confining shell. Let your mind enter into, in fact, for the time being, become this flower. Dwell upon the period of darkness necessary while the seed is sending forth its thread-like feeders, groping everywhere in the dark and gathering nourishment from the earth. With unerring instinct, it follows the law of its being, selecting each nutriment as well assist in growth and rejecting which is inharmonious. Follow the seedling through every phase of its growth. At each step, apply the same law to your own growth. Think of the soul as planted in the darkness and loneliness of the material conditions of this earth, yet containing within it possibilities of fruition, its immortal destiny. Do not try to follow the seed through every step of its life journey at the first sitting, but meditate day after day upon one stage and step of growth, correlating yourself with it until you are sure you have mastered its lessons and have realized their application to your own spiritual growth. Above all, make the point very clear that the seed has no personal desire to grow, nor to excel some other seed, but that it is fully occupied in fulfilling the law of its being, to open its soul to the air. When you have mastered one phase of growth, you are ready to pass on to the next. And only when you have, at least in some measure, grasped all the lessons thus taught you, are you ready to enter into the silence, where you can learn from the divine and hear the voice of your higher self, the master, whom as yet has not seen, but whom thou feelest. For only when the flower blooms does it open its heart to the silent power of the sun and drink in the magnetic forces, which could not be assimilated until the bloom unfolded. In the same way must the student open his heart to the Sun of Righteousness, he is ready to learn from the voice of the silence. Let no pupil think, however, that when, through meditation, he has reached the silence, henceforth he has no need of meditation, for no one can enter the silence until, by meditation, he has opened his heart to the influences of the divine, as the petals of the rose open to the magnetic influence of the sun. While an effort may be made at first toward its realization, later it must become a state into which you can enter at will, shutting the door of your mind on all daily affairs and finding rest, peace, and communion, even in the midst of the turmoils of life. But remember that while aids, such as concentration, breathing, are helpful in their proper place, they do not of themselves cause spiritual growth. They are only aids. The growth must come from dwelling in the consciousness of the divine within you and the manifesting of the Christ force in the daily affairs of life. When the ability to meditate has been acquired and the pupil is ready to enter the silence, he should first spend a few moments in the deep breathing, following the method called the complete breath. The greatest factor in deep breathing lies in the thought held at the time. This is the difference between deep breathing as practice for mere physical culture and for the control of the life currents. While the physical culturalist is breathing merely for health, the occultist realizes that much more than physical health is to be obtained. For through the power of breath combined with will, he can draw in the spiritual life essence which permeates the higher strata of the earth's atmosphere. By the act of consciously breathing, we correlate with the essence and draw it more completely into the body. This breath is the fundamental breath of the entire science of breath, and the student must fully acquaint himself with it and master it perfectly before he can obtain proper results. To accomplish this requires attention, effort, and persistence, but it is essential to further the progress along this line. When fully mastered, it will become automatic. Do not neglect or belittle it because it seems simple. The following exercise will help you give you a clear idea of what a complete breath is. 1. Stand or sit erect, breathing through the nostrils. Inhale steadily. First, filling the lower part of the lungs. This is accomplished by the diaphragm, which is descending, exerts a gentle pressure on the abdominal organs, pushing forward the front walls of the abdomen. Then fill the middle part of the lungs, lifting the chest and upper ribs. In the final moment, the lower part of the abdomen will be slightly drawn in, giving the lungs support and helping to fill the highest part of the lungs. The three movements are not separate but continuous, the entire chest being expanded in uniform movement. Avoid all jerky movements and strive to obtain a steady, conscientious action. Retain the breath for a few seconds, a heartbeat. Exhale slowly in the reverse order, chest first and abdomen last. Rest the same number of counts as in 2. The rule is to inhale for a convenient number of heartbeats, 6, 8, or 10. Retain the breath, half this number. Make the exhalation the same length as the inhalation, and rest between breaths, the same number of counts as in 2. During the inhalation, hold the thought that you are breathing in the force of love, strength, courage, and purity, or any other virtues you desire. That during the pause, they are filling you full to overflowing, and that during the outbreathing, you are sending out help, comfort, health, and love to all mankind. Think of what you need as flowing in direct from the divine, thus making a direct line of communication over which the divine can reach you. Dwell upon the fact that this divine force, which flows through you, is not your personal force, and therefore, when you breathe out, determine that you will send out only the force of the divine, untainted by your personality. Realize that you are thus creating a reservoir of power. Then you can draw upon it in unlimited quantities. As a seed draws to itself the power of eternal, and by assimilating, it grows naturally, yet does not monopolize the power. Realize that this power will purify the vessel, the personal self, always to be looked upon as a mere channel, that you are simply filling up the vessel that it may overflow to all, as a flower sheds abroad its perfume, and that if you are thus enabled to help others, it is not because of your personal attainments or power, but because of the power of the divine flowing through you, because you have become a center through which the lodge can work. Remember, therefore, that you must keep the channel pure and free from all contaminating influences, that as little as possible of your own personality shall enter into the good you're enabled to send forth. For a seed must be a healthy seed, or no matter how much of the divine force is poured into it, it will never grow. Indeed, if it has a canker, the divine force will but hasten its decay. It is often a help to stand before an open window, especially one facing the east. Raise your arms in front of you, with fingers spread out, and try to feel the force like a tangible thing which you can grasp. As you indraw the breath, clench your hands and draw it toward your heart, as if your hands were full of force, and feel it permeating with your whole body. Any action such as this will help you to realize that you are drawing in the divine life. Never under any circumstances perform this exercise when nervous, cross, or when holding any unkind or vindictive feelings in your heart, or the consequences will be disastrous, for you will be drawing to you more of the same forces. If this exercise is performed in the evening, it will be well to fix your gaze upon the stars in such a way as to exclude all the sights of earth, if possible. After a few short breaths, sit in an easy chair, always the same one and in the same place, if possible. Or lie flat on your back with your arms outstretched in the form of a cross. Meditate a few moments and send up a strong aspiration of love. It should not even be a definite thought, but a great yearning for the divine and a realization that you, in your highest self, are the master. And in the words of Malachi, if I be a master, where is my fear? Then sink into the silence. To acquire the ability to enter the silence properly will take time, for you will find your mind fairly bombarded by thoughts, often a trivial nature, which you must determinately still. This may require weeks or months of practice, for as you silence thoughts or one stratum of consciousness, your mind will still be active, but in a more interior way. Merge into one sense, thy senses, if thou wouldest be secure against the foe. 'Tis by the same sense alone which lies concealed within the hollow of my brain that the deep path which leadeth to the master may be disclosed before thy soul's dim eye. Do not get discouraged. Have patience. Candidate as one who fears no failure, courts no success. When you find your mind wandering, bring it back. And if necessary, repeat, peace be still. Often it is a help to repeat the word silence or repeat your given name again and again. When you have gained the power of silence, stop even these helps. Your mind must be like a still mountain lake without a ripple, capable of perfectly reflecting every passing cloud. If the surface of the lake is agitated, even by a ripple, the images on its surface will be distorted. So it is with the mind. Only when you have obtained to this quietude of mind can you hope to hear the voice of silence. Without the intermixture of personality and observe without distortion the heavy images reflected in your brain from your Father in heaven. It is important that the student school himself to think definitely and clearly of the personal guidance of his higher self, his Father in heaven, who is the I am I, while the personality is but the servant. Should a student attempt to enter the silence with no definite idea as to whose voice he is listening for, who the master is upon whom he has fixed his whole attention, and in a negative attitude, as so often happens, he is in great danger of receiving impressions from astral entities, either departed friends, elementals, or powerful but perverted entities, who will deliberately mislead and deceive him and use him as a tool for their own ends. For this reason, the attitude of the soul must always be held in one deep humility and ardent, aspiring devotion to the divine. There must always be the positive expectation of entering the presence of the divine, of listening reverently for the voice of your Father in heaven. He that is of God heareth God's words. There must be a definite and fixed determination to listen to nothing else and to permit nothing else to enter your aura. Have no fear, however, for fear, O discipline, kills the will and stays all action. The fear of man bringeth a snare, but whoso putteth his trust in the Lord shall be safe. Dear, do keep silent. If two or three are entering the silence together, let no one desire to be used as spokesman for the rest. For the very desire opens a door for personality and makes possible and easily delusions from the astral plane. Let each listen only for himself, not for another. If one should speak it at such a time, let the others know well that if the message is true and if they are in a state of mental poise, the endorsement will be given in their own hearts. This power of distinguishing intuitively between the true and the false is often the first conscious touch between you and your higher self. That the Lord or the divine intelligence does thus guide humanity through the voice of the silence is amply testified to and plainly set forth in the Bible, both in the Old Testament and New, as well as in other sacred scriptures. Indeed, the Bible is full of allusions to those who listen to the voice and those who refuse to listen. As we said in former chapters, the Bible is a symposium of allegories illustrating the spiritual truths needed by the entire fifth race of the red ray. Hence, if as plainly stated in language so familiar as to be almost trite, the children of God were led and directed by the voice in past ages, it is equally true today, for there has never been given to man any statement that would give him reason to believe that there had been a change in the laws of spiritual communication or the techniques of the Master Jesus were no longer true. The voice of God speaks today to all who listen as plainly as it spake to the pure in heart of old. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thy own understandings. In all thy ways acknowledging him, and he shall direct thy paths. When Jesus told his disciples to enter into the closet and shut the door, The closet referred to the silence, and the door which they were to shut was the door of the mind. The Father who seeth in secret is the higher self, who does not require words, but who seeth in secret, in the silence, through vibrations of love. The open reward is peace, comfort, and spiritual upliftment, which comes as a result of such communing with the Father in heaven. And that ends this two-parter right here. This was really deep and amazing, and wow, wow. Oh, needed that. Just take that in. And however you do your meditations and breathing, I'm not gonna lie, getting into the silence is not easy. It's taken me years. And I could so better those modalities myself, but you got to do what works best for your body. You got to do what's best for you, and only you are going to know how that works. So please take that into account when I'm reading this. The obtainment can be done in any modality. It's just the striving to get to that point. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Sending each and every one of you love, light, compassion, grace, shielding, and protective energy. Please go within. Be the shoulder. Be the lighthouses. Seed your truths. Light that path forward. And I hope to see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching. I should be live on Friday, but with work and my schedule and things, the first week of school is always crazy. I don't know what time I'm going to be going on Friday, but there will be a live. For how long, we'll see. I'm pretty tired and hopefully gonna get more sleep tonight. But until the next time, guys, thank you so much for your contributions, your gratitude, your love. I got spirit in the room, your grace, and just thank you for everything. Till the next time, guys, be the light where you are and shine it bright. Have a blessed one, guys. Bye for now.